This video is going to be the continuation of our previous video, which was based on subquery. In this video, we will see two different subqueries. So both the subqueries are multiple row subqueries, and inside the multiple row subquery, we are going to see subquery which return one column with multiple row and subquery which return multiple column with multiple rows. To implement the subquery which return one column with multiple row, we will be using the in and not in operator. Also, we will be seeing example with the all and any operator. And the second example, which is the multiple column with multiple row subquery, we will see how to create a derived table in the from clause. Let us go and write the query for the same. To see the example with in and not in operator, we are going to use two tables which are supplier table and the second table is country table. So let me query the first table, which is the supplier table, and let us see the schema. So we have the supplier table which have supplier ID, supplier name, contact name, address, city, postal code, country and phone. And here is the DDL to create the second table, which is the country table. So let me query the country table and let us see the schema of that. So the country table is having two columns which are ID and country name. So our question is to query the supplier table and obtain the records from the supplier table for which the country or the country name is available in the country table. That is, we have to fetch records from the supplier table for which the corresponding country is available in the country table. Let us query both the tables and let us compare and see what is the result that we are expecting. So I'm going to query both the country table and supplier table. Now we have supplier table here and the country table below. So we are going to obtain the records for which the country name is available in both supplier table and the country table. So we have to get in the result the records from supplier table which has country UK, Japan, Sweden and Italy. We don't want any records from the supplier table which has a country other than the country which is available in the country table. Now let us write a simple query to see how we obtain the result. So select all the columns from the supplier table in the where clause. So we are going to compare this country column with the country column in the second table. Country. So we are going to use the in operator in. So after the in operator, we are going to write the subquery. So here the subquery is the subquery which returns one column with multiple rows. That is, we want country name from the country table. Select country name from country table. So if I run the subquery alone, what we will get is we will get only the single column which is country name, which are UK, Japan, Sweden and Italy. And now this column which is from the supplier table is going to get compared with the country name column from the country table. Now let us run the query and see what is the result. As you can see, we have the expected result. That is, from the supplier table, now in the result we only have records for which the country belongs to UK, Japan, Sweden and Italy. That is, only the country which were part of the country table are available in the final result. Also, I can modify this query a little bit. If I want to write one more where clause inside the subquery, I can do that also. So to show the example, I am going to write one more where clause inside this subquery. Sorry, I am going to use a where clause and filter the country name. We only want country whose name starts with U. So country name like U followed by the wildcard symbol. Now if I run the query, I will only have results for which the country is UK, because UK only is starting with U in our current result. Now let us run the query and see what is the result. Now we have the expected result, that is we only have records for which the country is UK, that is the country name which starts with U. Similarly, we can get the exact opposite result of this one using a not in clause, that is we can get the records from the supplier table for which the country name is not available in the country table. That is, if I run the query once again, now we have UK, Japan, Sweden and Italy in the country table. Now we want the result in such a way that all the records for which the country name is not available in the country table should be displayed in the result. So instead of the in operator, I'm going to use the not in operator. Now if I run the query, we will get a result such that the country names are not available in the country table. That is US, USA, Spain, Australia, Brazil, Germany, Norway, France. All these countries were not part of the country table. Now let us see the example of all and any operator. For that, I have two more tables which are lecture underscore all underscore any and student underscore all underscore any. Let me run both the query and let us see the schema. So now we have in the lecture underscore all underscore any table, we have two columns, that is lecture name and lecture age. In the second table, we have student name and student age. So our first question is, find the student who is older than all the lecturers. So we are going to use the student table and the lecturer table and compare each of the student age with each of the lecturer age and see who is the student who is having an age greater than every lecturer. Now let us start with a select clause. Select. So we want student name and student age from the student table, that is student name comma student age and from the student table. So the student table name is student underscore all underscore any. I'm going to copy the table name and after that we are going to use the where clause, and what we are going to do inside the where clause is we are going to compare the student age with the lecturer age. So student age which is greater than, so the question is find the student who is older than all the lecturer. So student age should be greater than all. So after the all we are going to write a subquery, that is a subquery which returns only a single column and multiple rows. So here the single column should be the lecturer age, that is we are going to compare the student age and lecturer age. So inside the bracket select lecturer underscore age from the table lecturer underscore all underscore any. Now if I run the query, we should get the student name and student age for which the student age is greater than all the lecturer age. Let us run the query and see what is the result. Now we know that the student called Fernando, whose age is 65, is older than all the lecturer. Now we are going to the second part of the question, which is find the student who is older than any of the teacher. That is, we have to find the student who is older than at least any one of the teacher. For that, only thing is we will have to modify the query a little bit. That is, instead of the all operator, we are going to use the any operator. The other part of the query remains the same. Also, if required, we can write where clause or even subquery inside this subquery if required. But here we don't require that to answer the question because we only want to find the student who is older than any of the lecturer. So if I run the query, we will get the students who are older than at least any one of the teacher. So we have students Tom, Jerry, Scooby, Oogie and Fernando who are older than any one of the teacher. These are two examples of using multiple row subquery which returns one column and multiple rows. Now let us move to the second part, which is the subquery which returns multiple column with multiple rows. So for that, to see the example, we are going to create a derived table in the from clause. So for that we will use the same table which we have seen in the first example, that is the supplier table. Select star from, the table is supplier table. Let me query the table. In this example, we are going to write a subquery within the from clause. That is, instead of the table name, we are going to write a subquery here. So our requirement is, we only want columns supplier name, contact name, address and city from the supplier table. And also there is one more condition, that is the country should be US and UK. So instead of this supplier, let us write that subquery alone first, then let us substitute the subquery instead of the table name. Select supplier name, we only want supplier name, then the second column is contact name, then we want address, then we want postal code from the table supplier. And also one more condition we are going to use, that is in the where clause we are going to select the records for which the country is either UK or US. So country in, we are going to use the in operator, USA, comma, UK. Now this query we are going to substitute instead of the supplier table name. So let us write the select clause once again. Select star from. So we are going to copy this query. Copy. So after the from clause, we are opening a bracket, then substituting the subquery instead of the table name. And after that, if I run the query, we will get an error because of the alias issue. Let me show that also. Now if I run the query, we'll get an error. So incorrect syntax near the parenthesis. So what we have to do here is we have to give an alias name. So A. So what will happen is, now we'll get the expected result, that is the query which returns only supplier name, contact name, address and postal code for which the country is either UK or USA. Now I am executing the result. So now you can see we only have 4 columns, that is the subquery is returning multiple columns and multiple rows based on certain condition that we have provided within the subquery. So this is an example to write subquery in the from clause, specifically subquery which returns multiple columns and multiple rows. Also there are many complex use cases for the same, and we will see that in the upcoming videos. Thank you.